of equal rights feel that we're standing on the cusp of history with the top court of the country hearing a clutch of petitions when it comes down to same-sex marriage under the ambit of the Special Marriage Act. Well, the government, when it came down to decriminalizing homosexuality, had said that we will abide on whatever the wisdom of the top court is. One would have thought the progression towards equal rights had begun. However, this time around, the government hasn't left it to the wisdom of the court to decide. The government has very firmly put its foot down till yesterday, calling it an urban elitist concept. After the historic takedown of Section 377, decriminalizing homosexuality, one would have thought the progression to equal rights in India has begun. Next in line would be legalizing same-sex marriage. The government on the issue of decriminalizing homosexuality had left it to the wisdom of the Supreme Court to take a stand or a call on consensual gay sex or Section 377. One would have thought the government would do the same when it came to same-sex marriages. Not quite. Firmly opposing legal recognition, the centre has submitted in Supreme Court that the concept of marriage between man and a woman is deeply embedded in religious and societal norms, and any interference will cause complete havoc with the delicate balance of personal laws in the country and in acceptance of societal values. In its vehement opposition, the government also submitted, calling same-sex marriage an urban elitist concept that undermines religious and social values. And in the latest affidavit, the centre filed a fresh affidavit asking the Supreme Court to make all the states and union territories in the country a part of the ongoing court proceedings. The government has also asserted the court should refrain from recognizing same-sex marriage as the issue comes within the legislative domain. The response from the top court, notably by the 5-judge bench, on the first day of the Supreme Court hearing led to jubilation and hope in the LGBTQ community. The top court said there is no absolute concept of a man or an absolute concept of a woman, and that gender is far more complex than one's genitals. The petitioners sought a direction that the right to marry a person of one's choice be extended to the LGBTQ people as part of their fundamental rights. The petitioners are now hoping that the top court interprets the existing Special Marriage Act in their favour. Bureau Report, India Today. So one of the questions that we're going to ask this evening is the government on the wrong side of history when it comes down to equal rights, same-sex marriage. And, when you term something urban and elitist, what happens to equality? Let's take all these questions to our panelists this evening. Sanjay Hegde, Senior Advocate, Supreme Court. Deshratan Nigam, Advocate. Aditi Anand, she's one of the petitioners in this case. Ms. Anand, what are you hoping from the top court of the country? Aditi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can just hear you.
All right. My question to you, Ms. Anand, if you can hear me, is what is it that you expect from the top court of the country? Because it's not that they can come up with the law, but you're expecting them possibly to interpret the Special Marriage Act?
Okay, so it's a little bit unclear, but I think I've understood your question. What is it that I expect from the top court of the country? Well, I expect the top court of the country to treat me as an equal citizen of India and to fulfill the promises that were made. I think that it has already been recognized, that LGBTQI people exist in this country. I think it's now time to bring that to a full circle and to give us our rights equal to every other citizen of this nation. And I think so far there has been a note of hopefulness that that is likely to happen.
Aditi, the top court, irrespective, we'll talk about what the government stand has been, but the top court really can't make any laws. Are you expecting the Supreme Court to interpret the Special Marriage Act?
Is this, I
For
really
you.
cannot hear you at all. It's
all right, what we're going to do is we're going to try and fix the audio with you, and we're going to cut across to our other panelists as well. Sanjay Hegde, what is it that the court can do? Clearly can't make a law, but it can interpret the Special Marriage Act because they're not looking at personal laws, they're looking at the Special Marriage Act here. And that clearly says the person in general with what the Special Marriage Act says can be interpreted either ways by the court.
Well, that is one of the possible outcomes of this litigation. And since the court has itself put in a fetter saying that it will not go into personal laws, that is the Hindu Marriage Act or the Christian Marriage Act. So therefore, the Special Marriage Act originally as enacted was for people who did not profess any religion. And or if people of two different religions wanted to marry each other, that was the provision. It played another interesting role in Indian history because when Muhammad Ali Jinnah wanted to marry Rati Jinnah, who was a Parsi, the Special Marriage Act required a declaration that people followed no particular religion. Because Mr. Jinnah could not give that declaration, Rati Jinnah converted to Islam and the course of history changed to a certain extent. Here, today the Special Marriage Act has come up for interpretation, saying that, look, here are two individuals who wish to marry, who wish to take all the responsibilities of a marriage. It should not matter what is the birth-ordained sex of one or either of them. And by a process of interpretation, where a neutral word like person is used instead of husband-wife, there can be a process by which the court makes the law compliant with the living constitution as it currently exists.
Deshratan Nigam, when the top court and the Chief Justice of the country says that gender is way more complex than genitals, there is hope then for the LGBT community, because when it comes down to the government's made it very clear. It seems marriage between the same sex is urban and elitist for the government.
Preeti, in fact, when one of the judges or the same judges made a comment that there is no absolute concept of a biological man and a woman, then he upturned the biology. Probably he missed his class 10th biology classes that we all learned. And the biological science clearly established there is an absolute
But Mr.
concept.
Deshratan Nigam, I want to correct you, and why I'm correcting you is, and I'm just coming in, gender has very little to do with biology anymore, sir. It's very little to do with biology.
See, so therefore gender and same sex should not be confused, and therefore it has to be kept different. That is the fine distinction which is there. And when the judge says there is no absolute concept of absolute man and women, then it is against science and rationality. Now let me come to Sanjay Hegde's assertions which he was making. Yes, we people sitting in studios or few people in urban centers cannot decide,
Mr. Deshratan Nigam, are you telling the country, because you're a national television, that homosexuality is an urban elitist concept? It only exists in urban centers and cities?
See, what is the source of your study? Has a widespread study has been done on this subject or not? Now, let me tell you, if it was an all-India phenomena, it would have been made into a legislation long time back, because elected MPs are very, sensitive to popular opinions. They don't want to lose their seats. And therefore, such laws would have come. People like from Congress, TMC, Communists are all speaking on national televisions, but none of them even bring the parties have brought the legislation in the parliament.
Mr. Nigam, I just want to take you through. I want to take you through because you made a comment, and I'll correct you. You're a lawyer. I'm sure you'll appreciate it. Even the current definition, the grammar of gender, sir, is masculine, feminine, neutral. So that's the accepted, hear me out, sir. That's the accepted definition of what gender stands for. The second question I want to ask you, if you're saying, let's buy into what you're saying, which is that homosexuality is an urban elitist concept. In this country, which fundamental rights, equal rights, even if it is an urban elitist concept, do the clutch of urban elites not deserve equal rights?
See, that is to be debated in the parliament, not in the court of law. That is what I am saying. The definition of a marriage is that Sanjay Hegde was saying the word person is used, but look at the subsequent sections. And what was the parliamentary debate when this was passed? It was not about same sex, it was between man and women. So when the court looks into the intention, they go into the parliamentary debates to find out what was said in the parliament. It was not about same-sex marriage. And secondly, let me tell you, what is the age? How is the age defined as one of the conditions of marriage? For bride, it is 18 years. For bridegroom, it is 21 years. The filing of the case for restitution of conjugal rights. What is conjugation? And one of the grounds for...
Tell me something. I want to bring in the petitioner and I'll tell you, Mr.
No, allow me to finish.
Please finish. Please finish.
Because so many interpretations have been made, my chain of thoughts gets, wavered. So therefore, apart from that, the issues that would come in adoption, domestic violence laws, where the women have got it, which is defined in between man and women, the violence which is done, about guardianship, so many things are there. Well, how do you define a family? How can you change the definition of a marriage in a court of law? It has to be.
Sir, that definition has been long changed. Maybe it's not changed in the heads of certain individuals, where you even talk about legal rights, where you talk about the consensual age of 18. It was 15 earlier, no? It was changed legally.
No,
it was changed legally through the courts of law. So as you evolve, you change.
But
having said that, sir, it's not an argument between you and I. Let me bring in the petitioner. Aditi Anand, would you want to respond to all what your co-panelist, Mr. Nigam, has said?
Certainly, I would love to. So can I just quickly say the question that you asked me, because I wanted to answer it. What do I expect from the Supreme Court vis-a-vis the SMA? I would like to quote Menika Goswami from the first day in court when she said nothing short of full marriage. That moment gave me goosebumps, and that is what we expect from the top court in this country.
But Aditi, you're an urban elite. Why should you be given the same equality that your parliamentarians don't want to accord you as per your panelist?
I mean, I find this sort of filter of urban elite to be very hilarious. First of all, if anybody has bothered to actually read the entire list of petitioners and the people who are being represented in some of those petitions, they would know that even in this list just of petitioners in the Supreme Court, in this case, everyone is certainly not urban. I don't know how to define this elite word, but they're certainly not urban. And there are some incredible and fantastic stories there. So first of all, I would recommend that before anybody makes commentary like this, they should at least look at the list of petitioners who are there. Secondly, to the point that, that stories of people from rural India, I think a farmer from South India was mentioned, that, people are not coming out asking for equal marriage. Look, nobody up to this point denied the fact that there were LGBTQI people all over the country. There have been multiple judgments on this. There have been, the government themselves have said that we respect the dignity of LGBTQI people, recognizing that they exist in every corner of this country. So now basically the assumption that's being made is that all of those people don't want marriage and that there's only a small clutch of people in cities who want marriage. That is so ridiculous. That is such an entirely ridiculous statement to make, because in this country, we have three pillars in society, every single religion: birth, death, and marriage. From the time that you're born, your parents, what do they want? They want you to get married. That when people say, are you settled? It's not, do you have a great job? It's, are you married? Do you have children? So you're saying that only people in urban centers want to be married? Or are you saying that because you've already accepted that LGBTQI people exist in every corner of this country? So what is it is very obvious that the reason that people in urban centers are finding it easier to come out and to ask for this is because we are coming from a certain place of privilege. Okay. And are you saying that people in rural areas should not be accorded that same right because they live in very difficult circumstances? That you want to push them further into those difficult circumstances? That the court is not here in order to be able to create social justice and social equity in the country? I think that for the government to suggest that this is an elite concept is sort of goes against every principle of social justice possible.
Right, Sanjay Hegde.
Last point,
Make your point.
To the last point of the legislature, I mean, it's been 5 years since 377. So what was it so if this is the job of the legislature, then the legislature has done a really bad job. Because, why didn't they do that job in the last 5 years? There have been private member bills that have been introduced and they have gone nowhere. Not only is there no conclusion, there is no discussion. So how is it that we are to trust the legislator to do the legislature to do its job? You can't tell us on the eve of a judgment that, hey, sorry, this is our job. You should have done it.
Okay. All right. Aditi, stay on with us. And I hope both the gentlemen that we have on the show would, appreciate that I'm giving more time to Aditi because primarily she's got more skin in the game or is a stakeholder in what we are seeing right now. But Sanjay Hegde, I want to come back to the point on the affidavit that was submitted today by the government, which wants the states and union territories also be part of the proceedings. What does the government intend by doing so?
What the government intends is to delay the matter. It believes that if the matter gets delayed now and it goes past the regime of the current Chief Justice, maybe a different bench will be much more conservative. That is the legal strategy. Now, on that point of urban elite, the Supreme Court got it wrong in the first judgment of Kaushal, where it upheld the criminalization of 377 when it said these are claims of a minuscule minority. The Supreme Court later, in a 5-judge judgment, held that earlier judgment to be wrong. We do not go about looking as to how many people are affected or whether there is only a minority of people being affected. The rights of every individual are important. They are subject to the equal protection of the law, and they are guaranteed the protection of the law by the Constitution and an atmosphere of fraternity. So what the court is essentially doing right now is to figure out under the Special Marriages Act, which basically says that there can be a marriage between any two persons as long as neither of them has a spouse living or is incapable of giving a valid consent. The clause also refers to a male having completed 21 years and a female having completed 18 years. So yes, so if two females who have completed 18 years want to get married, so be it. If two men who have completed 21 years want to get married, so be it. The law as it is currently framed can bear the interpretation that the petitioners want the court to place on it. There is nothing which rules out same-sex marriage.
Deshratan Nigam, other than asking the Chief Justice of India to go revisit his 10th class biology, what would you want to say to Aditi Anand, who's raised important issues in her argument right here? Because once again, like I pointed out, gender, the definition of gender is not biological, it's fluid. And that is now the accepted definition of what gender stands for, sir.
See, my basic argument is this is not for the court to decide, this is a parliamentary function. You cannot hijack in the name of interpretation what is the domain of parliament. And therefore, when they say they'll interpret it, they have to look at the legislative intention when this act was enacted. What was the intention? Either you strike down this particular act, says no, this is ultra-vires the constitution, and ask the parliament to, request the parliament rather to frame another law in this aspect, the way they did in triple talaq. Ask the parliament to frame and look into and frame the law, and the laws were framed. Therefore, the purposes and why the government of India is saying that other states and union territories should also be taken on board, because they want to broaden it out so that everybody's opinion comes on the record.
Aditi, do you think that's what the government intends? They want broader participation and not just to maybe push the envelope a little longer?
I guess the relevant question also to be asked in this situation is that, with due respect to the government, this petition is not new. There have been cases in the High Court. The first set of petitions were filed last year on this matter. There have been multiple directions from the court since then. So why was this concern not brought up in a timely way? I mean, certainly it seems that to bring up something that is so significant on the eve of the case seems like either there is no argument against the grant of equal marriage, or it is that the government is not giving this issue the due importance that it deserves. Which takes me back to the point that if that is the case, then how are we to expect justice from the legislature to begin?
All right, I appreciate all three of you for joining us. Thank you. We're going to keep a keen eye as the government continues to hear these petitions. But where the petitioners are concerned, or where the LGBTQ community, or rather, instead of the LGBT community, anyone who's a champion of equal rights is concerned, is looking more at the top court of the country to deliver and less on the government. A quick break. Do stay with us. On the other side is Rahul.
Justice, liberty, equality, the pillars that built India. A nation where everyone has dignity and opportunities to prosper. But today, over 75 years after independence, Dalits remain a community trapped for centuries by the caste system, languishing in a dismal state. Nearly 20% of India's population is Dalit. Dalits still live in abject poverty, excluded on the margins, facing atrocities, toxic untouchability, and no opportunities for economic upliftment. The father of India's constitution, Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar, fought all his life for the upliftment of Dalits. In the past, many state and central governments have made big promises, but it has been nothing more than lip service. Basic human rights have still not been delivered. Dalits remain downtrodden and discriminated against. This shocking reality is a national shame. Few have dared to break the cage of caste discrimination until now. Friend to the downtrodden, upholding human rights and dignity, championing Ambedkar's India, KCR is showing India and the world our revolution is sparked in Telangana through his path-breaking scheme, Telangana Dalit Bandhu. Approximately 17,50,000 Dalit families called Telangana home, and now they are calling Telangana the land of opportunity. Thanks to Dalit Bandhu, launched in 2021 by the TRS government, a world-first scheme which will give each Dalit family an astounding financial boost of 10 lakh rupees. There are many more schemes along with this which are under implementation all over the state. But Dalit Bandhu is a specially designed program for the upliftment of the Dalit community. It has an unprecedented objective to uplift 17,50,000 Dalit households with a one-time capital grant of 10 lakh rupees per household. 100% subsidy with zero repayment, delivered via direct-to-beneficiary transfer, with a dedicated Dalit Bandhu scheme help desk and monitoring committee at village, mandal, district and state level, and a 10% reservation for Dalits in profit-generating schemes, government contracts and licenses. In addition to this, Telangana has another visionary program for Dalit students, residential schools and colleges, and Ambedkar Overseas Vidya Nidhi, a 20 lakh rupees overseas scholarship, giving them the most powerful tool for success: education. Huzurabad, 2021. The Telangana Dalit Bandhu pilot was launched. Telangana's Dalit Bandhu is a path-breaking scheme that places absolute trust in the beneficiary. Each household has complete freedom and flexibility to decide its business and how to grow their dreams.
నేను వచ్చేసి ఫార్మసీ చదివాను సార్. దాని తర్వాత యాజ్ ఏ ఫార్మసిస్ట్గా చాలా ప్లేస్లో చేశాను సార్. ఎప్పుడైతే మన తెలంగాణ గవర్నమెంట్ ఈ దళిత బంధు పెట్టిందో అప్పుడు ఇంకా నాకు ఎప్పటి నుంచో నా ఓన్గా బిజినెస్ పెట్టుకున్నామని నాకు అంతకుముందే ఉండేది సార్. మన టీఆర్ఎస్ గవర్నమెంట్ దళిత బంధు స్కీమ్ ఒకటి పెట్టి నా ఓన్గా నేను సెటిల్ కావడానికి ఒక ఆపర్చునిటీ క్రియేట్ చేసింది సార్.
Households were identified as beneficiaries and the direct benefit transfer of 10 lakh rupees was made. Each family unit was free to decide how they wished to invest this 100% subsidy. It could be a single or multiple businesses. Multiple beneficiaries could pool their resources to build a bigger business. It could be in any sector of their choice. The sky was the limit. In no time, the stories of transformation began rolling in. These are just a small fraction of the 40,000 success stories that Telangana has empowered through the Dalit Bandhu scheme. In just 1 year, it has smashed records for any Dalit upliftment scheme in the country. Till date, the Dalit Bandhu scheme has been implemented in all 119 assembly constituencies in Telangana. Beneficiaries have achieved prosperity for their families. They have also created opportunity for their community by providing employment and revenue. The resounding success of the Dalit Bandhu scheme has energized the TRS government to accelerate its efforts. From 40,000 beneficiaries with an outlay of 4,441.8 crore rupees, now Telangana government has raised the Dalit Bandhu budget to reach about 2 lakh beneficiaries with an outlay of 17,700 crore rupees, making this the world's largest direct benefit scheme.
దళిత బంధు వచ్చిన తర్వాత ఈ 10 లక్షలు అనేది మామూలుగా అందరికీ ఆపర్చునిటీ రాదు. ఇది పూర్తిగా గవర్నమెంట్ వాళ్ళు మాకు 10 లక్షలు ఇచ్చేసి మీ ఇష్టం ఉన్న వ్యాపారాన్ని పెట్టుకో అని చెప్పేసి అనడం వల్ల మాకు ఇంత ఆర్థిక పురోగతి కలిగింది. అదే కాకుండా మేము ఇంతకుముందు ఒక దగ్గర వర్కర్గా పనిచేసిన వాళ్ళం ఇప్పుడు ఓనర్గా ఉండగలుగుతున్నాం.
Never before has such a revolutionary scheme been designed to end caste discrimination, where Dalits receive 100% opportunity along with 100% dignity.
దళిత బంధు పథకం రాకముందు మేమైతే చాలా స్ట్రగుల్స్ ఫేస్ చేసాము. దళిత బంధు పథకం కింద మేము ఈ ఎంబ్రాయిడరీ మిషన్ ఎంచుకొని పెట్టుకున్నాము. నేర్చుకున్న వరకునే నేను ఫుల్ఫిల్ చేయాలనుకొని ఈ ఎంబ్రాయిడరీ స్టార్ట్ చేశాను సార్. ఇచ్చినందుకు చాలా చాలా ధన్యవాదాలు కేసీఆర్ గారికి, తెలంగాణ ప్రభుత్వానికి కూడా మేము ఎంతో రుణపడి ఉన్నాము.
ముగ్గురం కలిసి ఒక యూనిట్ పెట్టాము. అంటే 30 lakhs పెట్టి ఒక వెహికల్ను ఇప్పుడు అమెరికన్ టూరిస్ట్ షాప్ పెట్టాము. బాగానే నడుస్తుంది ఇప్పుడైతే. అంటే నేను జాబ్ చేసేవాడిని, ఇప్పుడు ఓనర్గా అంటే ఒక కంపెనీ ఓనర్గా ఇప్పుడు ఫీల్ అవుతున్నా. చాలా హ్యాపీగా ఉంది.
జీవనోపాధిగా మిషన్ కుట్టుకుంటూ బ్రతికేదాన్ని సార్. మాకు 3 పిల్లలు, వాళ్ళని చదివించుకుంటూ మేము బ్రతకాలంటే చాలా కష్టమైంది సార్. ఇప్పుడు దళిత బంధు ద్వారా కేసీఆర్ గారు ఆదుకున్నారు సార్. వాళ్ళు ఇద్దరం కలిసి పెట్టుకున్నాం సార్ మిషన్. కోయంబత్తూరు నుంచి వెళ్ళి తెప్పించుకున్నాం సార్ మిషన్ను. నాన్ ఓవెన్ బ్యాగ్స్ సార్. మాకు నెలకు 50,000 వరకు వస్తాయి సార్. 3 జీతాలు 50,000 వరకు వస్తాయి సార్.
For Telangana's leadership, it's not about breaking records, but about ensuring financial freedom for all. Each Dalit Bandhu grant of 10 lakh rupees has an inbuilt 10,000 rupees safety net, Dalita Rakshana Nidhi, to ensure that all Dalit families get financial assistance from the fund at times of distress. To further strengthen this, Telangana government contributes additional 10,000 rupees, which is over and above each grant. A great safety net that has no parallel anywhere in the world. For the KCR government, this is more than just a financial benefit. If any beneficiary of Dalit Bandhu meets with fatal disease or accident, the family should not go through additional depression and hard times. They should remain protected. That is the true purpose of the special safety net designed as Dalita Rakshana Nidhi.
కేసీఆర్ సార్ ఇంత పెద్ద స్కీమ్ తీసుకురావడం అనేది చాలా గొప్ప విషయం సార్. మాలాంటి వాళ్ళకి ఓన్గా ఒక కంపెనీ పెట్టి ఎస్టాబ్లిష్ కావాలనుకునే వాళ్ళ కోసం ఇది గోల్డెన్ ఆపర్చునిటీ.
అదే కాకుండా దళితులు అంటే సమాజంలో అందరికీ చిన్న చూపుగానే ఉంటుంది. ఇప్పుడు ఇది ఇవ్వడం వల్ల
సారు దళిత బంధు ఇచ్చి మమ్మల్ని ఎంతో ఆదుకున్నారు సార్. మాకు మరో అంబేద్కర్ గారు సారు మాకైతే మాటల్లో చెప్పలేము. ఆయనకు మాకు ఎంతో బతుకునిచ్చిండ్రు అసలు.
Under the fearless leadership of KCR, Dalits finally have a government that protects and defends them. Telangana inspires them to overcome oppression and empowers them to be bold so that each Dalit can move up in the world with head held high, creating their own success story, making Telangana shine and, in turn, India.
Presented by RP Sanjeev Goenka Group, Growing Legacies.
Co-presented by
Macho Hint, Bade Aaram Se.
the all-new Hyundai Verna, futuristic, ferocious. XP100, India's first 100-octane premium petrol.
Good evening and welcome. You're watching the news track. I'm Rahul Kamal. After Asad and then Atiq, the UP police is now on the hunt for Shaista, Parveen and Guddu Bambas, and that's my top focus on the news track tonight.
On the run for nearly 2 months, godmother of Atiq's gang, Shaista hiding with Umesh Pal shooters. Where is Mafia Begum? Big focus on News Track.
The mystery around Don Atiq Ahmed's wife, Shaista Parveen, is deepening. She's been on the run for 2 months now. Sources say Shaista could be hiding with Atiq's sister. How did the daughter of a cop go on to become one of India's most wanted?
Is Atiq's wife Shaista Parveen hiding with the very men who killed Umesh Pal? A question that's added a whole new dimension to the hunt for Shaista Parveen. Sources have told India Today that Shaista could be hiding with shooter Shabir and Atiq's sister Ayesha, who's also wanted in the same Umesh Pal case. The search is a tough one for the police as they claim Shaista is moving with over 6 burqa-clad women so she can't be spotted by authorities. And that's how she's avoided arrest for months now. She and Ayesha Ahmed are reportedly together, constantly changing locations and not using their mobile phones. April the 15th, 2023. Asad buried in Prayagraj burial ground. His mother, Shaista Parveen, stayed away. April 16th, 2023. Atiq Ahmed and Ashraf buried at the same Prayagraj burial ground. Atiq's wife, Shaista Parveen, stays away again.
After the UP police and other agencies have intensified their search for Shaista Parveen, India Today team is at the spot at the maternal house of Shaista Parveen, and we were shocked to see that the whole house was left unlocked. There is valuable items inside which has been kept as it is. It suggests that no time was given or was with the family, and they fled here with a hurry.
The UP police so far has conducted raids in 4 states in search of Shaista. Besides searches in Kaushambi, Greater Noida and Meerut in Uttar Pradesh, the police have also conducted searches in Delhi's Okhla, Mumbai and some locations in West Bengal as well. More than 20 such people have been identified who are suspected to have helped Shaista hide.
शाइस्ता परवीन इस पूरे घटनाक्रम के षड्यंत्र में पूरी तरीके से शामिल थी। जो लोग शामिल थे, जिनके विरुद्ध साक्ष्य सामने आ रहे हैं, उनकी गिरफ्तारी की जा रही है। आगे भी षड्यंत्र और संरक्षण देने वालों के खिलाफ जैसे साक्ष्य आएंगे वैसी कार्रवाई की जाएगी।
Since Asad, Atiq and Ashraf have been eliminated, Shaista is now the only link that can provide information on Atiq's criminal network. And nabbing the godmother, as she's known in criminal networks, is now even more crucial. But it isn't just Shaista. The manhunt is also on to nab Guddu Muslim, aka Guddu Bambas. Guddu's last known location is reportedly Karnataka, and since then there have been no further leads. But the crackdown continues. Guddu's home in Prayagraj, UP could very well be razed to the ground using bulldozers.
Right now I'm standing outside the house of Guddu Muslim, who is still absconding after the murder of Umesh Pal. You can see in the visuals, this is the house of Guddu Muslim, which has been locked ever since this incident has happened, ever since he was captured in the CCTV helping in the murder of Umesh Pal. You can see in the visuals a notice has been stuck here in which it is clearly written that in 15 days you should answer that why this construction should not be demolished since it's not built according to the norms.
गुड्डू मुस्लिम सबसे खतरनाक अपराधी है और पुराना प्रोफेशनल शूटर रहा है और एक बमबाज भी है, अगर प्रयागराज के कोलोकियल लोकल लैंग्वेज का इस्तेमाल करूँ तो इसीलिए उसको जल्द से जल्द एप्रीहेंड करना आवश्यक है।
Bomb maker Guddu Muslim, godmother Shaista Parveen, they're the missing pieces in the Atiq mafia puzzle, and pressure is building with each passing day on the UP police to nab them at the earliest. With Simar Chawla in Prayagraj, UP, Bureau Report, India Today.
I spoke to Amitabh Yash, Additional Director General of the Uttar Pradesh Special Task Force that killed Atiq's son in an encounter on the probe surrounding Don Atiq Ahmed's murder and the hunt for Guddu Muslim and Shaista. Listen in. I want to go across live and exclusive at the moment to Lucknow. Joining us from there is the Inspector General of Police of the Uttar Pradesh's Special Task Force, Amitabh Yash. He's one of the key strategists involved in law and order in Uttar Pradesh, led the operation that brought down Asad, and let's try and get a sense from him of what they think of the manner in which Atiq Ahmed was killed. Amitabh ji, welcome to the news track. You were in a meeting till recently with all the senior police officers, the Chief Minister, the DGP. Can you give us, as best as you can, your sense of the thinking within the Uttar Pradesh political and legal administration at the moment on the back of the killing of Atiq and Ashraf? Is this something that the Uttar Pradesh government is embarrassed about because there were policemen there, someone came and killed him? Or actually, are you thinking that this is just good riddance to bad rubbish?
I mean, this question is irrelevant to a policeman. We do not comment on politics, but the initial incident where a key witness was killed in broad daylight along with 2 policemen was a strike on the very roots of the criminal justice system. That was a challenge, and it was absolutely essential for us to bring all those who had conspired in that case to justice. The STF, the Prayagraj police and the UP police as a whole, they worked very hard on the case. They worked out the entire conspiracy, and we finally managed to arrest a large number of accused, and in that process, two main shooters, Asad and Ghulam, were shot in an encounter with the STF in Jhansi. The two other accused were killed in different encounters with the Prayagraj police. And we are also trying to find some other accused who are involved, especially the main shooters, Guddu Muslim and Sabir and Akram. So it's a work in progress.
So you mentioned Guddu Muslim. Now Guddu Muslim is the gangster who Asad and Ashraf mentioned just seconds before they are killed. So what can you tell us about the current whereabouts of this Guddu Bambaz? I'm last told he was somewhere in Karnataka. What do we know about where he is? How important is it for you to try and catch him?
We had missed Guddu Muslim by a few minutes in Meerut, but thereafter all the stories about his location are not correct. Guddu Muslim is a work in progress, but this guy is an important target for us because he is a professional shooter. He is a contract killer, and he is capable of carrying out crimes on his own. This fellow had been convicted in an NDPS narcotics case in Gorakhpur and got a sentence of 10 years. He came out on bail with the help of Atiq and his lawyers, and since then he has been with the gang, working as a shooter. It seems, I mean, my professional hunch is that this fellow has committed far more crimes than those on record. He probably did not get named in some, or he did not come to light in some of the cases that he has, heinous murders that he has committed. He is a bombaj. He has that ability to assemble bombs while on the move and throw them on his target. He can also use other weapons like pistols. So, and that makes him an important target because he stays a threat to the society.
Now, the other person who's still missing is Shaista, the wife of Atiq. There was a sense that she may come to Asad's burial or even to Atiq's burial. None of that happened. How hot is your trail of trying to catch Shaista, and what kind of charges and evidence do you have against her?
Shaista is an important part of the entire conspiracy. She has participated in this conspiracy right since the beginning, and after committing the crime, when the shooters gathered, some of the interrogations have revealed that she is the one who paid all of them before they moved on their pre-planned escape routes. She had a full knowledge of this act, and I am sure that more will come out once she is arrested and questioned by the police. We are hopeful. She has a reward of 50,000 on her head, and we are hopeful that she'll be arrested very soon.
Now, these three killers of Atiq, Lavlesh Tiwari, Sunny Singh and Arun Maurya, who brought them together? Who's the mastermind who was controlling this operation? Did they do this of their own steam, or was there a brain behind this operation?
This investigation is being done by a very good team put together at Prayagraj, and I'm sure they will bring out good results.
Now, some of the basic questions, Amitabh ji, about what happened that night. For example, why was the police vehicle stopped outside the hospital? Why could they not have been brought right to the gate of the hospital so that they wouldn't have to walk in the presence of media and other personnel? No. Now, what's the response to questions like that? Why were they being paraded in the manner in which that they were?
And these are questions for which special inquiry team has been formed, and I cannot answer before they have completed the inquiry. It is not. I am just not authorized to talk on this.